could hardly play better than this.
You're watching a genius at work. Probably the most natural, talented player that's ever played the game.
What a tournament. O'Sullivan has been quite simply magnificent.
It's been a long time coming, and I can't stop now. Such a long time running, and I can't stop now. Do you hear my heart beating? Can you hear it?
Yeah. We need to get studio Ronnie.
I can't help thinking, and I don't look down. And then I looked up at the sun, all the way that gravity turns for you and me. And then I looked up at the sky and saw the sun.
Is it really 5 months ago that Ronnie O'Sullivan rocketed to the top of the snooker world once again at the Crucible? Goes so quickly, doesn't it? That was early May, and now the summer of sport is gone, and you know that autumn is officially on its way when snooker starts appearing on your screens once again. Well, Ronnie and the top names are all here in Preston for the start of their new season at the opening events. It's the Tot Sports Grand Prix, and our BBC team is all present and correct as well, isn't it, Steve?
Yes, miss, all present and correct and ready for a new snooker season. Hopefully I'll be playing more than I'm talking. Nothing personal, Hazel. Here we are at the Guildhall, Preston, a venue that over the last 25 years for me personally has seen some great matches. There's been so many superb matches, hard to pick one, and I think there's going to be a lot of great games here this week. 64 players this year at the main arena, so we have our two big main television tables, but we had to bolt on to accommodate all of the matches that are going to be played to extra tables. They're going to be outside tables. We may not see too much of them on the television screens, but as usual, they are the top quality professional standard that you would expect. Here they are, in two smaller booths and being prepared there. Nothing new, 8 legs, 6 cushions, 6 pockets, and a lick of green paint. There won't be any complaints, I'm sure. But the big difference is the format. The top 32 players now come in at the last 64 stage. And that's good news for me, because as the world number 31, I've avoided having to qualify. I'm in action this evening against James Wattenar. Final few touches on the practice table. But here's what's in store for you for the next hour and a half.
UK champion Matthew Stevens returns, fresh and fit from his stint on the BBC's Superstars over the summer. Dublin's Ken Doherty has plenty of supporters, but it's his family who are his greatest fans. We'll hear from them ahead of his first match. It's onwards and upwards, he hopes, for the Rocket Man at the start of his 13th season. Give us your views on who will be the man of this season and anything else you'd like to discuss by email to snooker@bbc.co.uk or start your texts with snooker to 83199. And in this party conference season, perhaps you've had enough of spin, but we've got a fascinating new angle on that in our Frame by Frame series. So, welcome to Preston. We've got 64 players here this week, all vying to get their hands on this claret jug as winners of the Tot Sports Grand Prix. And one of them has been training a little harder than most. It's Welshman Matthew Stevens, who, as you've just seen, has taken part this summer in the BBC's Superstars programme. That programme will be aired over the winter. You'll be able to see how he fares there. But he's also fit and raring to go at the start of this new snooker season. And so too are the men who'll be commentating upon the UK champions' progress this term. Well, they're raring to go. I'm not quite sure how fit they are.
Matthew Stevens is one of those in and out players. He looked like he'd lost his way a little while, then came back to win the UK at York last year and played great snooker. Big fan of his aggression, Matthew Stevens. He's one of those players that's very, very aggressive. He's not frightened of anyone.
got a superb record against the likes of O'Sullivan and Hendry, where some players, when they play O'Sullivan, tend to be a little bit afraid of him. Matthew Stevens is one of those players that doesn't ever get bullied.
The fact that he did win his first major title, it should be a confidence booster for Matthew, because he once again has got the all-round game that you need to win major tournaments.
I'm not quite sure about Matthew's safety game. If I had to say there's a weakness there. The shot selection is good. It's potting and break building and temperament, yes, you know, top of the tree stuff. But I think when push comes to shove sometimes, his safety game lets him down.
This, to me, could be a make-or-break season for Matthew Stevens. All the ability, great match player, great potter, but has he got what it takes to get those consistent results and take him right back to the top?
We shall see. Well, Matthew's up against a very capable opponent, Andy Hicks, 31-year-old left-hander who's been around for well over a decade on the snooker scene and who's been punching above his weight recently, almost literally. Remember that near dust-up at the table between Andy and Quinton Han at Sheffield in May? The 31-year-old gave Ronnie O'Sullivan a friendlier run for his money at the Crucible there as well. Great campaign from the Tavistock player, and I wonder what his thoughts are on facing Matthew Stevens today.
It's nice to come here now and knowing, you know, if I can beat Matthew Stevens, a top seed, I mean, he's probably number 6, 7 in the world or whatever, then all of a sudden, the next couple of rounds, you're not going to meet a very top seed. So all of a sudden, if you can get one over the, you know, the first round, because nobody likes the first rounds, not even the top players, and as I say, if you can get past the first round against a top seed, then all of a sudden the draw does open up a little bit for you to get to like the last 16 quarterfinals before meeting another top seed.
And he certainly has it all worked out, doesn't he? First of 5, remember, will go through. Stevens has made the better start. He's a frame in front as we pick them up in frame 2. And commentary comes from John Virgo and Clive Everton.
The second frame. Matthew Stevens to break.
Poor break-off shot from Stevens. Cue ball barely making it past the baulk line.
One.
Good solid pot.
Eight.
Yes, and he's nicely on this red. Just stun it in for the black in the same pocket.
Nine.
It's nice, those, I don't think you can do it off this shot, but those two reds just above the black, if you could just nudge those into possible positions, just to know the angle for it that time. He's played that well.
16. $17.
Didn't have much chance in the first frame, but what little we saw of him, he looked as though he was in good touch and striding round quite confidently here, Clive.
Yes, and I think his confidence is also boosted by his qualifying round win at Prestatyn, when he beat the extremely talented 17-year-old Chinese Ding Junhui, who we saw in the Masters at Wembley last year, beat him by 5 frames to 1.
$23.
Referee Jan Verhaas asking Andy to give him a second, and the pink spot not available, so he's trying to find a place as close to the pink spot, a direct line with the middle of the top cushion.
29.
This was a shot I was talking about before. If he can pot this red and get a nice angle on the black to try and
30.
cannon one of those reds and develop the reds just above the black, has he got the angle? He stopped to think about it. I would say he probably hasn't. If he hasn't, that's a little bit careless. Oh, he just can make it, can't he? Just made it and played it well. That was important.
37.
He can keep the break going.
38. $45. 46.
This could be the key shot to the frame. Pot the black, plenty of power, coming off the top cushion. He'll have to put a little trace of right-hand side on this. Gonna play it confidently. And did. And did. And if he's not on anything there, he's very unlucky.
53.
Well, surely he's on something. He's looking closely at a possible red to the left centre. Will it go? I think it does, because he's looking at the gap between those reds, so he can... This red will just go, I think, into the left centre pocket. Ooh, it's tight, isn't it? But it's there, and he's on the pink.
54.
Frame-winning chance. Good reply, this.
And he's played them so crisply and confidently. This is the Andy Hicks, who was a World, UK and Masters semi-finalist in the 90s.
Yes, absolutely, and I like the pace he's playing. I did feel, but as you say, I think he did suffer from a big lack of confidence, and he seemed to get bogged down and be looking
60.
for things to go wrong. I mean, he's approaching the table here, expecting things to go right. He's playing the right
61.
shot. He's confident what the next shot's going to be. Very impressive. This could be a cracker, this match, the way Matthew Stevens started the first frame.
68. 69.
All he needs is this black and one more red. Well, my mistake, in actual fact, just the black there, you see it. He's 75 ahead, 67 remaining. Well played.
Thanks. 77. $82. 83. 90. 91.
Had to play for the double.
98. 99.
played.
106. Center frame.
First frame Stevens, 67 break. Second frame Hicks, break of 106. 1-1. Great match so far.
Indeed, Andy Hicks has clearly begun this new term in the same confident state of mind that we saw manifested at the Crucible. He knocked in a couple of 30-plus breaks to take the next, and so Matthew Stevens finds himself 1-2 down now.
Was intending to leave the cue ball nearer the cushion.
Yeah, he just got the double kiss on the red, otherwise I think he might have had better position this. Choice here. Not an easy pot, the black. And, well, I suppose, particularly he's using the red, he'll just concentrate on in the black, and he may trust a little bit to look the position, because it's not natural to come on the red, unless he does a bit with the cue ball. Well, he's striking down, so he's going to stun round. Makes the pot a little bit more difficult. But good pot it was. That was an excellent shot. That was a terrific shot with the rest. Really was.
9.
Promising opportunity this, but
16.
mustn't get ahead of himself, thinking too much about the good chance for a 3-1 lead.
17.
You can only pot the balls one by one.
22. 23. 28.
Amazing thing, sport, isn't it? What confidence can do for you. I mean, you spotted it straight away, Clive. You know, he said he was full of confidence, and
29.
That's what he'd been lacking in the last 3 years. He just looks a completely different player. I forgot how good he was.
Yes.
$34.
Comes from Tavistock originally, Hicks. Said to be their most famous citizen since Sir Francis Drake, who held the Spanish Armada at bay.
35.
David Vine was from that part of the world as well, wasn't he? I know David always used to be cheering on Andy, you know. Just got into that a little bit too much. Shouldn't be a problem. I think he's got choices of reds into the
42.
left centre pocket. Oh, and he's got one comfortably he can cue nice too. Just run through for the blue.
43.
Don't expect a mistake.
48. 49.
'And playing, as you said earlier, Clive, at a very
54.
brisk pace. Hurricane Hicks, now it's been used. Hurricane's gone. Sorry, Andy.
$55. 61.
Well, there you see it, 61 ahead, 75 remaining. Red and the black would do.
62. 69.
Made a century in the second frame, Clive. I would not at all be surprised if he made one in this.
Not the way he's playing. In fact, except for a momentary
77.
stutter near the end of the third frame,
Okay. 78.
Hicks has been simply superb.
$85. 86.
Now, a little bit tricky now to get on the next red. And it will clinch the century. And play for the awkward one. Pace, more likely a miss. That's everything he's done confidently. I think we can only describe this
96.
as a virtuoso performance. And particularly the way Matthew started the match.
97.
Yes, he's been shut out since then. So, Hicks makes his second century in 3 frames. He's spotting everything.
104.
And look at the position on the green. It's wonderful when the game comes this easy. And nice to watch.
107. 111. 115. 16, sorry. 122. 129 and
Simply brilliant.
Andy Hicks.
The break of 129 gives Andy Hicks a 3-1 lead at the mid-session interval. But he hasn't won yet.
He's averaging a ton every couple of frames, and that's a pretty decent ratio for the man from Devon who only, 2 years ago was thinking about throwing the towel in altogether on this sport because his confidence was so low. Well, he's set off at a real pace in the next, and Matthew Stevens has a lot of work to do. He's 51 behind.
Andy Hicks had an excellent run of the ball there. I was pleased that Matthew found a way out of that. Couldn't have played it better.
dropping everything.
Yes. I was looking at that red and I thought, well, Matthew did very well not to, well, to get the cue ball back to the balk end. But you just had the feeling that the way Andy's playing, those type of pots were well within his range, and that could set up the frame-winning opportunity I was talking about, although he needed to play a better shot than that. I don't think the red passes the pink. That was a poor shot. Well, does it pass? Oh, it does. I don't think he played for this red, you know. I don't think he played for that red. It was a second thought.
Well, just a red and a colour needed to take a 4-1 lead.
11. 12.
Applause
19.
from the crowd, knowledgeable as they are in Preston. We've been coming here
20.
quite a few years now. They knew that black dropping in was the frame ball. And it's a cruel game, this snooker, isn't it? Matthew Stevens on the first frame, he looked to be in good form, but he's not really had much chance since. Such has been the scoring power of Andy
28.
Hicks. And, well, 4-1 down, it's hard to see a way back for Matthew now. The way this man from Tavistock is playing.
$33. 34.
It's an interesting reversal of fortune, this, because a year ago here, Matthew Stevens overwhelmed Ronnie O'Sullivan 5-0. Playing the game just about as well as it could be
41.
played.
42.
But apart from the opening frame, he spent most of this afternoon in his chair.
49. 50.
I'm looking at Andy Hicks's shot time, Clive, in this match. I think there's only
53.
Tony Drago plays quicker.
55.
Yes, and Ronnie O'Sullivan, who was averaged out over the season at 16 seconds
58.
per shot, which is very, very fast indeed. And Hicks is 17 seconds a shot at the moment.
62.
Although bear in mind that he's been in a break-making situation virtually every time. It is
67.
easier to play more quickly if you're flowing easily from shot to shot, with most of them at short range, but very fluent, very good, very effective.
73.
2 centuries already he's made.
80 on the
And in
frame.
that frame, he made breaks at 51 and 80. Andy Hicks leads Matthew Stevens by 4 frames to 1.
And there's just no stopping the world number 51 at the moment. Andy Hicks going extremely well, and the UK champion Matthew Stevens just can't seem to get to the table. And so it's proving again in frame 6.
And Stevens would have been very relieved that Hicks didn't knock that in, because it would have put Hicks away again.
Well, the two reds to the right of the black are a plant. This is a tricky red. He didn't want to take it on, but it's the right shot to play. He just struggled in. He was looking for an easier option than that. He knows he's in a position now, no more mistakes. But it struggled in, and he's nicely on the black. And of course, when you're facing a deficit like this,
8.
if you can win a frame in one visit, it certainly helps, rather than having to struggle along, winning scrappy frames. Also might give him an injection of confidence he badly needs at the moment.
9.
He could also do with putting a little element of doubt in Hicks's mind.
Well, I don't think it's too bad. I think he's got a choice of reds.
16.
He's certainly got one to the left middle. Slightly hampered, but I don't think he has to do a lot with the cue ball. He'd love to be on the one to the right centre, but does it pass the pink? Can he get enough of the red? This is when you also, apart from all the skill you need, you just need that run of the balls as well to help you in his effort to get back in this match. Looks like it's going to be the red to the left centre. He's going to be hampered, but as I say, I don't think he has to do a lot with the cue ball. Just roll it in and be on the pink. It's there, but he didn't get through as far as he would have liked. I'm certain he was thinking of playing the pink into the right corner. I think it was only because the red didn't go right in the middle of the pocket that he didn't get his desired position. He's looking at the blue, but well, Matthew, you're a braver man than me to take that on. The cut on the pink to right centre. No.
Matthew Stevens, 17.
It was a tough shot. And they don't get any easier when you're 4-1 behind.
One.
It was a natural angle so that he could just avoid contacting the bunch of reds.
Yeah, that's how the run of the ball can be, as you say, Clive. He had the perfect angle just to roll the red in on the black. He was tight on the cushion. If he hadn't had the perfect angle, then he wouldn't have been able to play that shot. But that's what happens when you're playing well. Your confidence is up. And things always seem to run your way. But he's done everything right today, as Andy. And from what we've seen, this is a frame and match winning chance. Let's see how he handles the size of the winning line.
Now, the Andy Hicks of 2 or 3 years ago, no matter how well he'd played early in the match, would have faltered within sight of the winning post.
17.
So this is going to be a test of his newfound mental attitude and strength.
If he catches the red full, he'd have been perfect on the next red. Just didn't catch it full enough. He's still got a possible cut into this left corner pocket. Where the cue ball finishes, he won't know. But I'm certain he's looking at this as a chance to clinch the match at this visit. So he'll be taking this red on. As I say, a thin one. Where the cue ball goes, I don't know. No,
25.
it's not bad, is it?
Clear-cut match-clinching chance.
30. $31.
Played that with a lot of right-hand side. In fact, hit it too well. Hit it too well. So he's not in effect once again. Maybe a little bit of adrenaline going through. Just overhitting that slightly. So just got a minor obstacle to overcome here. Don't expect any problem with the red. He's proved on many occasions today with the rest he's very good, but his position on the colour he needs. No problem. And the three
39.
reds in the middle of the table are ready and waiting. Doesn't look any obvious reason why he shouldn't get enough points to clinch match at this visit.
$46.
Stevens fearing that he's played his last shot of the tournament.
47.
Hicks got a kick on that simple red, which has left him thinner on this black than he otherwise would have been.
$54. 55.
Oh, an almost faultless display from Andy Hicks. I think more notorious as well,
62.
Clive, the fact that Matthew started so well, so he put him on Andy under pressure. He was asking the questions early on in them, but he's never
63.
wavered. He's obviously got great confidence in his play at the moment. He's been obviously doing a lot of work in the summer. He's yet to win a ranking tournament, but on this type of form, and if he can keep this confident approach, I don't think he'll be far off winning the ranking event this year. Very impressed.
Well,
Andy Hicks, 70.
it was a little bit tricky, but already he'd gone past the winning post in terms of his opponent needing a snooker, so that looks like a 5-1 win for Hicks.
And indeed, that was more than enough. We have lost the United Kingdom champion for the opening event of this season. Matthew Stevens is going back down the road to Carmarthen, but Andy Hicks looks really in the mood to hang around here in Preston an awful lot longer. Let's get the thoughts of both men after that match.
I played very, very good snooker today, probably the best match I've been involved in a long, long time. Scored very, very well, and pleased to be a top player. I mean, Matthew Stevens is number, I think, 5 or 6 in the world, and it's nice to play good snooker and win convincingly.
I was 4-1 down before I knew it, really, and you know, the way he was playing, he only needed 1 or 2 chances, and you know, the frame was over. So, you know, good luck to him. You know, it's nice to see him play well again, because he hasn't done so well the last 3 or 4 years. You know, maybe 5, 6 years, and you know, we all know what a good player he is, and you know, he's showing it now.
Yeah, I always sort of said that if I fell out the sort of 64, I'd think about packing the game up, and it come very close about 2 years ago. It come very close, and I'm just thankful that I've turned the corner and like all of a sudden, the world's opened up to me, and there's who knows what I can achieve now.
And you can see the confidence oozing out of Andy Hicks, and it's good to see. But what a shock the first day here at this championship, Steve.
Yes, in some respects, but if you looked at Andy Hicks's form during the latter part of the last season, especially the form he showed in the World Championship, and I think probably he gave Ronnie O'Sullivan his hardest battle during that.
That's right.
The strange thing for me is how can a player of his quality, and I played him in the 90s in the World Championship, and he was a feared player, got to the semi-finals of the World Championship, how can a player like that drop so far out of the game? Okay, but then to get back, how can both things happen? And I mean, if he knew what was the cause, then perhaps he should bottle it and sell it to the rest of us.
Exactly. I think he's a kind of Phil Mickelson character, if I can liken it to golf, because he's been reckoned by you guys as perhaps one of the best players never to be in the top 16.
Yes, I mean, talent-wise, I mean, you see the way he went about his business today. I mean, feared player on his day. I haven't got a clue as to why he dropped down. Perhaps only Andy knows the whole of the scenario there. But if he does continue that, and John Virgo said perhaps winning a ranking tournament, anybody these days can win ranking tournaments. You never know, best of 9 matches. It'll be interesting to see how he fares in the next couple of rounds.
OK, well, let's just show you who he faces in the next round at least, because he's going to be playing this gentleman, Neil Robertson, Australian, up-and-coming youngster who has beaten Michael the Holt Hitman. And he beat him 5-2 today. And of course, you remember that Michael Holt reached the quarter-finals here in Preston last year, so that's a great win for